Hi, I'm Chris Johnson from Work Visa Lawyers. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to all those people that have been watching our videos and have recently subscribed. We've had 1,500 subscribers in the last month, which is amazing. If you want to keep up with all our latest news, please subscribe. In response to all of those extra subscribers, we're going to be making more videos to help you stay up to date with Australian immigration news. So there's been a huge amount happening in Australian immigration. A lot of it is influenced by what's happening in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the time of filming, there has been a second wave, which is mostly affecting Victoria, but also New South Wales. Victoria has had roughly between 300 to 500 new infections a day. New South Wales seems to be more like between 10 to 20 infections a day. This represents a rapid increase compared to the very low numbers that we had for a couple of months. Outside of New South Wales and Victoria, most other states in Australia have got very low numbers of COVID-19. And so that's the overall context of what's happening. There have been some big announcements in relation to international students. International students are important to Australia. They've made a major contribution to Australia's economy and Australian society. To limit the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on international students, the federal government has announced 5 major changes which will impact the students currently in Australia and those who are overseas and unable to travel to Australia due to COVID-19. 5 major changes in relation to international students. Number 1, the government will recommence granting student visas. The federal government has announced that they will recommence granting student visas to overseas students so that when travel restrictions are lifted and borders are reopened, students will have a visa and can make arrangements to enter Australia. Number 2, no visa application charge for lodging a further student visa application for students who are unable to complete their studies within the validity of their current visa. You can now apply for a further student visa without paying an additional application fee to the Department of Home Affairs. Number 3, online study will be counted for post-study work visas, the Graduate 485 visa. Students who are overseas and are attending online classes due to COVID-19 will be able to use their study towards an Australian study requirement for the 485 visa. Number 4, the post-study stream of the graduate visa can be applied for from offshore for graduates who have completed their study and are unable to travel to Australia due to COVID-19 restrictions. Number 5, additional time for English language results. At some places, access to English language testing services has been disrupted by COVID-19. Under such circumstances, students may get additional time to provide English language results. These changes for international students are necessary and are very welcome changes. They're going to make it possible for people to continue to study, or are they going to make it possible for people to structure their plans so that they can get work experience through graduate visas? It's also very important to the international education providers because they rely on the enrolments of international students which have been disrupted. So now I'm going to do a short update in relation to skilled migration for the 189, the 190 and the 491. I've also made a more detailed video in relation to the skill select results, and you might want to have a look at that as well. The 190 and state nominated 491 visas are currently still closed as the states wait to receive their allocations from the federal government. The 189 and family sponsored 491 visas are receiving limited invitations with a focus on health, engineering and agricultural occupations. One of the most common questions I'm getting at the moment is what's going to happen with the skilled migration policy? This is a very difficult question to answer. So I can give a general comment in relation to what might happen for policy. In the GFC, there was a cut to the overall numbers, and in a similar way, I think there will be a cut to the number of places that are offered for general skilled migration. Also, I do believe there will be a review of the list, and that may lead to there being less occupations on the list. I'm not sure when that list review will be released. Outside of those general predictions, I think that the severity of the cuts really depends on how quickly the world is able to recover from the pandemic and also how big a recession or depression that the world suffers. Even though there's likely to be some cuts as a result of the pandemic, there's also going to be areas which actually are of increased need, and we're already seeing some of that now in terms of a strong focus on medical occupations. I also believe there might be something in all of these engineering and civil construction type roles that are being nominated. Perhaps it is that in the near future, the Australian government is going to announce further stimulus, which could involve major projects and buildings, which is going to require those skills. So here's one that's close to my heart. Having done thousands of RSMS work visas in the past, now I'm seeing a lot of people coming to me with the problem that they're facing a notice of intention to cancel for their RSMS visa. This is a very serious situation. I'm just going to do a quick reminder on the requirements for an RSMS once it's been granted. So a general reminder to all those currently holding an RSMS or that might be granted one soon. The obligations include to commence the position and to make a genuine effort to stay in the position for 2 years. The federal government has the power under Section 37 Part Q to cancel an RSMS if those conditions aren't met. And so it's very important to be able to keep records to demonstrate that the obligations have been met. Another side of this is that if your position is lost due to the downturn or due to the pandemic, then if you can demonstrate that you've made a genuine effort but you lost your job due to reasons outside of your control, then you still get to keep the visa. So these are just a couple of reminders to help people to keep themselves out of trouble and to make sure they can keep their visas. Appeals and reviews. While there has been a slowing down in terms of invitations for skilled visas and the opportunity to lodge visas, the Department of Home Affairs is still processing visas and they're still getting reviews sometimes. It's important for visa applicants or people who've just received a notice of refusal to be mindful that they have limited time to lodge an appeal with the AAT, or that they have a limited time if they've been unsuccessful at the AAT to go for judicial review. With over 70,000 matters currently at the Migration Division of the AAT, and with more refusals happening over time, there is a large backlog of appeals. If you've received a refusal notification, or if you have recently had a matter at the AAT which was not successful, then you may want to seek some professional advice to find out if you can lodge a further appeal. The Australian government has recently made some announcements in relation to Hong Kong and offering opportunities for visa applications. The three main commitments from the Australian government include commitment number 1, longer graduate visas for people who are completing their studies and staying in Australia. They may be able to apply for a 5-year visa. The 5-year visa will then have opportunities to transition to permanent residency. Existing graduate visa holders will also be able to access this additional 5-year visa. Commitment number 2, an additional 5 years for temporary skilled visa holders and a permanent pathway for skilled visa holders who are from Hong Kong. Commitment number 3, existing options will continue. The government has committed to keeping existing arrangements to encourage regional living, study and work. Based on the information provided by the government, this appears to refer to the 491 and 494 visas, which were introduced in November 2019. In particular, the government has identified that there will be a pathway to PR after 3 years. This sounds a lot like the pathway to the 191 visa from the 491. They have also indicated that the global talent and business innovation and investment programs will continue. This will help to attract talented and valuable Hong Kong passport holders and businesses to Australia. The Global Talent Visa. Over the last few months, the federal government has frequently referred to the Global Talent Visa as a model for things that they want to do in the future. It's been mentioned in relation to the Hong Kong passport holders, and it's also been mentioned in relation to attracting talent during these difficult times. We've seen a very strong interest from overseas and in Australia for the Global Talent Visa. While some parts of the migration program might be reduced for 2021, it looks like the Global Talent Visa will stay the same or even be increased. Hit like and subscribe if you want to hear more from Work Visa lawyers. If you have any Australian migration questions, then we're happy to hear from you. Thanks for watching.